Climate change. We talk about it, we discuss it, we argue, but we don't change anything. The rich and powerful tell us how we have to change our lifestyle to adapt to our new world. But what if I tell you that they don't want to stop climate change at all? No. Like with everything, the elite found a way to make a fortune with climate change. In this video, I will show you that the industry and elites, policymakers and everyone influential are more concerned to monetize the problem that will haunt billions of people very soon. Instead of finding solutions, they pretend and play theater, stealing resources and the brightest minds from developing real solutions, if there are any. Let's talk about human stupidity and big mistakes. Welcome to Dark New World. Bill Gates, one of the world's most high-profile environmental advocates, took 59 flights in 2017, roughly covering a distance of 343,500 kilometers, more than 8 times around the world, generating more than 1,600 tons of greenhouse gases, which is the equivalent to the average yearly emissions of 105 Americans. But it's even worse than you think. Here are some bits from an Oxfam report titled Carbon Billionaires, the investment emissions of the world's richest people, based on an analysis of the investments of the 125 richest billionaires and some of the world's biggest corporates and their emissions. Billionaires' investments give an annual average of 3 million tons of CO2 per person, which is 1 million times higher than the 2.76 tons of CO2, which is the average for those living in the bottom 90%. The actual figure is likely to be higher, as published carbon emissions by corporates have been shown to systematically underestimate the true level of carbon impact. And billionaires and corporates who do not publicly reveal their emissions could not be included in the research are likely to be those with a high climate impact. The investments of just 125 billionaires emit 393 million tons of CO2 each year, the equivalent of France, at an individual annual average that is 1 million times higher than someone in the bottom 90% of humanity. Contrary to average people, study shows the world's wealthiest individuals' investments account for up to 70% of their emissions. Oxfam has used public data to calculate the investment emissions of billionaires with over 10% stakes in a corporation, by allocating them a share of the reported emissions of the corporates in which they are invested in proportion to their stake. The study also found billionaires had an average of 14% of their investments in polluting industries such as energy and materials like cement. This is twice the average for investments in the Standard & Poor 500. Only one billionaire in the sample had investments in renewable energy companies. The choice of investments billionaires make is shaping the future of our economy, for example, by backing high carbon infrastructure, locking in high emissions for decades to come. The study found that if the billionaires in the sample moved their investments to a fund with stronger environmental and social standards, it could reduce the intensity of their emissions by up to 4 times. The super rich need to be taxed and regulated away from polluting investments that are destroying the planet. Governments must put also in place ambitious regulations and policies that compel corporations to be more accountable and transparent in reporting and radically reducing their emissions. Oxfam has estimated that the wealth tax on the world's super rich could raise 1.4 trillion a year, vital resources that could help developing countries, those worst hit by the climate crisis, to adapt, address loss and damage, and carry out a transition to renewable energy. According to the UNEP, adaptation costs for developing countries could rise to 300 billion per year by 2030. Africa alone will require 600 billion between 2020 to 2030. Oxfam is also calling for steeply higher tax rates for investments in polluting industries to deter such investments. The report says that many corporations are off track in setting their climate transition plans, including hiding behind unrealistic and unreliable decarbonization plans with a promise of attaining net zero targets only by 2050. Fewer than 1 in 3 of the 183 corporates reviewed by Oxfam are working with the Science Based Targets initiative. Only 16% have set net zero targets. Humanity has yet to find an even halfway adequate answer to its dire situation. The irony is that these companies, with their billion-dollar profits, are the biggest polluters. At the same time, they present themselves as the solution. So let's talk about the invisible elephant in the room. The people in charge are more concerned about how to monetize climate change than to actually help to curb its effects. Like with everything in our world, money has to be made. and the people in charge of companies and politicians are more concerned with their careers and profits. Climate change is not a problem that is easy to understand. It's a complex matter, and the people on top have not the knowledge to understand the situation. Unfortunately, in every system we ever had, may it be capitalism, communism or something else, we never bring the people in charge that can understand the problems we face. Scientists and experts can only warn, but they talk to people that are out of touch with reality. And we won't find a solution to this anytime soon. But it doesn't matter anyway. Climate change is a trending topic. That is why everyone is talking about it. Corporations have found out how to make money with it. This is the only reason why it's in the mainstream now, not because we really understood how bad our situation is. The problem is still real, and 99% of us still have that thought in the back of their head that it won't be as bad as they all say. Well, they're right. It will be worse than that. If you noticed, I've never made climate change videos on this channel, and I didn't do them because I'm not interested. No. I didn't make them because I think most won't be ready for the thing I would have to say. But if you want to hear what I have to say about that, let me know it in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe, that would help me a lot. Now, climate change is the big dark cloud on the horizon. But there is a lot going on in the world that could threaten us in the short term. Conflict, economic decline, or food shortages. And these food shortages have a complex set of triggers, which I explain in this video here. And on the right, I talk about the situation in Ukraine and NATO's defense plans in the case that the war's further spiraling out of control. My name is Dennis, thank you for watching and goodbye.